Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. It's the 4th of August 2025. Now, if you consider the past 7 months alone, Sri Lanka has seen a surge in gun violence. If you take the number, that's approximately around 10 shootings on average per month. Now, Sri Lanka has witnessed 76 shooting incidents across the country so far this year. These incidents have resulted in 41 individuals being killed, with 43 others sustaining injuries. Now, one of the latest incidents occurred yesterday in Kapungama, where a 48-year-old businessman was shot while at home. Two unidentified assailants arrived on a motorcycle and opened fire using a T-56 assault rifle before fleeing the scene. The injured man was treated at the Mata hospital and has since been discharged. Police investigations have uncovered the motorcycle used in the attack, along with clothing and face coverings believed to have been worn by the suspects. These items were found abandoned in the Yatiana area and forensic analysis is underway. Now, Sri Lanka's Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, or SIABOC, has arrested 29 individuals, including a former cabinet minister, a spouse, children, and close relatives over the past 6 months. The arrests come from investigations into allegations of bribery, illicit wealth accumulation, and abuse of public office. SIABOC revealed that the arrests were made through multiple investigative units. The Special Investigations Unit arrested 7 individuals, Secret Intelligence Division 1 individual, Asset Investigation Division arrested 2 individuals, Open Investigations Division made 5 arrests. Among those detained are the son, nephew and 2 daughters of the former minister, a former ministry secretary and additional secretary, 3 former institutional chairpersons, a corporate chairman and 4 former local council chairpersons. In addition, a former provincial council opposition leader, former provincial chief minister, former provincial chief secretary and a provincial deputy secretary were also arrested. Now, furthermore, a former deputy commissioner of motor traffic, a management assistant, a specialist doctor, a judicial clerk and a clerk were also arrested. Now, in addition to these arrests, 50 cases have been filed in high courts across the country, implicating 60 individuals in serious corruption-related offences. Now, let's move on to the country's university system. Now, before I move on to the story, let's give some background. Now, you might recall that over the past few months, there were incidents of harassment within the Sri Lankan university system, which also resulted in lives being lost and some even being hospitalized. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya has issued a strong call to end all forms of harassment, intimidation, criminal activity and violence within Sri Lankan universities, pledging that the government is prepared to take maximum action to ensure student safety and dignity. Speaking during a dialogue held at the University of Jaffna with the Vice Chancellor, academic and non-academic staff and students as well, the Prime Minister emphasized the importance of creating a secure and respectful environment for higher education. She said that it is essential that university students enjoy their freedom with discipline, adding that their rights must not be unnecessarily restricted, but neither should they be abused. Each year, around 40,000 students enter state universities after passing the advanced level examinations. The Prime Minister stressed that universities must take full responsibility for ensuring these students receive proper security, welfare and educational support. She further highlighted the need for universities to evolve beyond traditional degree programs and become research-driven institutions that offer quality postgraduate education, helping students build their confidence in their future. Now, something interesting. Sri Lanka is set to launch a national fishing vessel census targeting fiberglass boats in the initial phase. The initiative, spearheaded by the Department of Fisheries in collaboration with the Clean Sri Lanka program, aims to streamline vessel management and mitigate the growing threat of marine pollution. The census will be conducted at fishing harbours across the country until August 20th, focusing on identifying and documenting fiberglass boats, many of which have been abandoned or retired from active use. According to the Ministry of Fisheries, while fiberglass boats are vital to Sri Lanka's fishing and maritime industries, their improper disposal has led to serious environmental, social and economic consequences. Without a formal disposal mechanism, these vessels degrade into microplastics, leach toxic chemicals into the soil and water, and contribute to coastal degradation. Abandoned fiberglass boats not only pollute our oceans but also become breeding grounds for disease vectors and diminish the aesthetic value of the shorelines. Fiberglass recycling is notoriously difficult and expensive, often resulting in boats being destroyed through open burning, a method that poses further environmental risks. The ministry emphasized the urgent need for a structured registry and disposal system to manage these vessels sustainably. The census is expected to pave the way for the removal of derelict boats, introduction of sustainable recycling methods, reduction of microplastic pollution, and improved coastal sanitation, as well as enhanced space for active fishing vessels and operations. Now, Sri Lanka Railways has announced the commencement of special train services starting today to accommodate the large number of pilgrims and spectators travelling to Kandy for the Asala Perahera festival. These services will operate until August 8, covering key routes from Colombo Fort, Polgahavela, Matale and Navalapitiya. The Asala Perahera, one of Sri Lanka's most revered cultural and religious events, draws thousands of local and international visitors each year. The final Kumal Perahera paraded through the streets of Kandy last night, while the first Randoli Perahera is scheduled to take place tonight. Now, moving on to some international news. Now, something that Newsfirst also has been following. You might recall that over a year ago, the war broke out between Hamas and Israeli forces. Now, tens of thousands of demonstrators have marched across the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia, calling for peace and aid deliveries in the war-ravaged Gaza Strip, where a humanitarian crisis of man-made starvation has been worsening as a result of Israel's punishing blockade. Pro-Palestinian protesters braved heavy winds and rain on Sunday to march across the bridge, chanting "Ceasefire now" and "Free Palestine." Some of those attending the march, which the organizers dubbed the March for Humanity, carried pots and pans as symbols of the forced starvation wrecking Gaza. The protest came less than a week after a joint statement by Australia and more than a dozen other nations expressed the willingness or the positive consideration to consider the state of Palestine as an essential step towards the two-state solution. France, Britain and Canada have in recent weeks voiced and in some cases qualified intentions to diplomatically recognize a Palestinian state, as international concern and criticism have grown over the hunger crisis in Gaza. At least 175 people, including 93 children, have died of starvation and malnutrition across the territory since Israel launched its war on Gaza after the Hamas-led attacks on southern Israel in October 2023. Australian police said that up to 90,000 people had attended the protest, while the organizer, Palestine Action Group Sydney, said in a Facebook post that as many as 300,000 people may have marched. Marchers ranged from the elderly to families with young children. Among them was WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who did not address the crowd or speak to the media. Now let's move on to some sports news, where we are set for an action-packed final day of the test between England and India. The fifth and final test between England and India is set for a thrilling finish today at the Kennington Oval, with England needing just 35 more runs to secure victory with 4 wickets in hand. Chasing a target of 374, England ended day 4 on 339 for 6, with Harry Brooks scoring a brilliant 111 and Joe Root adding a century to keep the horse in control. Root also made history by becoming the first player to surpass 6,000 runs in ICC World Test Championship history. Now, India batting first were bowled out for 224 runs, while England responded with 247 in their first innings. India's second innings saw a strong comeback, posting 396, thanks in large part to a superb 118 by Yashasvi Jaiswal. However, England's aggressive chase has put them in a commanding position to win both the match and the 5-match series, which they currently lead 2-1. Play was halted late yesterday due to poor light, adding further suspense to what promises to be a dramatic final day. Now let's move on to the world of motorsports. Lando Norris won the Hungarian Grand Prix after holding off a thrilling late race challenge for the lead from McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri. Pole sitter Charles Leclerc has made a strong start to hold P1 when the race got underway, allowing the Ferrari driver to build up a steady lead over Piastri in P2 during the opening stages of the race, a position he maintained amid the first round of pit stops, despite Piastri's attempt to undercut his rival. However, the picture started to evolve as different strategies played out amongst the frontrunners, with Leclerc and Piastri both on two-stop plans, finding themselves behind the one-stopping Norris in the final phase of the race. While Leclerc's pace fell away in the latter stages, a fast Piastri set about chasing down Norris for the lead, leading to a gripping conclusion as the Australian was hot on the tail of his teammate in the final laps. Despite a couple of attempts, Piastri could not find a way past the other McLaren, with Norris crossing the line just 0.698 seconds ahead to seal his fifth win of the season. This has cut Piastri's lead in the Drivers' Championship down to 9 points, entering into the summer break. Finally, what's in store for the weather? The Department of Meteorology has issued a weather advisory indicating several spells of showers across various regions of Sri Lanka today, with potential for fairly heavy rainfall in some areas. Now, according to the forecast, western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces, along with Galle and Mathura districts, will experience intermittent showers throughout the day. North central, Uva and eastern provinces, as well as the Hambantota district, are likely to see showers or thunder showers after 1 p.m. The department warns that fairly heavy rainfall exceeding 75 millimeters is likely in parts of northern, north central, eastern and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. Residents are strongly advised to take necessary precautions against temporary localized strong winds and lightning associated with thunder showers. And with that, we bring an end to this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. I will see you again tomorrow morning with more stories that are happening here at home and across the world. Until then, take care and stay safe.